Tasyaitapodamah karmeti pratishtha Veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. Tasyaitapodamah karmeti pratishtha Veda sarvangani satyamayatanam. So this verse has been given a title, The Edifice of Brahma Vidya. What is the edifice? What's its foundation? What is the platform? Tapa, austerity. Dhamma, restraint. Karma, action, are its foundation, the very edifice. Veda sarvangani. Sarva angani. All the Vedas are its limbs. Satyam ayatanam. Ayatanam is the abode. The truth is its abode. So that Tapa, Dhamma, and Karma are its foundation. Vedas are its limbs. Satyam is its abode. So three things are being mentioned here. The foundation, pratishtha, anga, limbs, ayatanam, abode. So firstly, the foundation upon which the Brahman rests, again threefold. Brahman rests on the foundation. And what is the foundation? When he says it is the foundation of your spiritual sadhana, spiritual progression, spiritual attainment, spiritual advancement is determined by how well you are grounded and founded on these three essential principles. Means if you and I practice these three essential principles, you are well and truly on path to attaining Brahman. It is just a matter of time. Now, what are the three? Nothing new, but you get a great satisfaction when you hear the assurance from the very Upanishads themselves. They themselves endorse it. So it becomes the highest authority, which is recommending them. Now, first is Tapaha. Tapaha is nothing but austerity. Now, austerity is something which you could understand it as a self-control from the sense contacts. It is a withdrawal of your participation of the senses. In fact, a participation of your senses, which is a licentious indulgence. Withdrawal of the senses from its licentious indulgence in sense objects. So you're actually withdrawing from the sense contacts of the world, and it is self-imposed. When I say self-imposed, you do it on your own. If I were to tell you, you only eat 2 chapatis, not more, it's punishment. But if you say, I think I will have 2, I can have 4, but I would have 2. That is self-imposed. You are trying to withdraw from the sensual contacts of the world. So it is a capacity to say no when something shouldn't be done. It's a capacity you say, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get into it. And this is possible only when you apply your intellect. So Tapaha can be understood as an intellectual discipline. So withdrawing yourself from activities which would tantamount to dissipation of your valuable energy. Your valuable energy is dissipated due to a licentious sensual indulgences you give, because this is a natural affinity of each sense organ to be drawn to its particular sense object. You don't need any training for that. You don't need any wisdom for that. Your eyes want sight, your ears want sound, your tongue wants tastes, and so on and so forth. The senses are rushing out, gushing out into the world to indulge. So it is natural to be extroverted. It's natural to fall a prey. So tapas is to put brakes on to your senses, which are rushing out into the world of sense objects. And the world is full of sense objects. You may say, so why should I control the senses? So why are you behind my enjoyment? I know I don't have much time. What all my life I have struggled and acquired. Now I want to enjoy whatever. But why are you against my little enjoyment? Now the Shastras are not against your enjoyment. In fact, they are only trying to help you be a master, not a slave to your sense objects and enjoyments. True enjoyment is only when you're a master. A simple example: you could be driving a powerful car. You know, you find these the pinnacle of automobile engineering. You have these people who drive these Formula One cars, these race cars, and they drive at mind-boggling speeds. You know, and the difference between success and fatality and a failure is just a fraction of a second. At that speed, if you have no control, you have lost it all. And at that level, at that speed, you got to have great control. And once you have control and mastered it, you really are you're the leader. Even when you could be just taking a normal stroll down the road, and if you can get into serious trouble. You can have you lapse your concentration. You can have an accident, finished. So what is important is to have a mastery over your senses. Now, if you have no mastery over the senses, what you will understand, perhaps you'll appreciate what I say next more, because you may not understand the importance of what it is to let go of the senses. But what senses do, when senses go astray, they draw the mind away. So senses drag the mind along with it. And then when the mind goes away, it drags the intellect along with it. So when senses go, the mind follows, the mind drags the intellect, and thereafter, buddhi nashat pranashyati. This is what you must be careful of. It's just not, what's wrong? Oh, my eyes like a beautiful sight. I admire, I enjoy, I want to appreciate, and you are letting the senses go. They're wild, but the senses draw the mind away, the mind draws the intellect away. And for your reference, this is mentioned in the 2nd chapter of the Gita, verse 60. The 60th verse of the 2nd chapter talks of it. Senses draw the mind away, the mind draws the intellect away. So tapas is practicing a dispassion to the senses. So you are mentioning a certain dispassion, a certain disinterest. You don't go gaga, you don't get excited, you're not jumping without any maturity. So that capacity. Now, what this does is the second element of tapas. What this does, by withdrawing from the senses, by being dispassionate towards the sense objects, you are, what are you doing? You're conserving the valuable energy which is being dissipated. This is the first element. By practicing tapas, you are conserving the valuable energy which is being invested in these activities, in sensual activities. You're conserving. Once you have conserved, then you are able to implement the second element of tapas, which is redirecting that energy towards something higher, towards something nobler, towards nothing other than Brahman. Because Tapa, Dhamma, and Karma. What is Tapa, Karma, Dhamma, and Karma? The edifice of Brahman. This is the edifice of Brahma Vidya. You want to attain Brahman. The thought of Brahman can only be entertained only when you practice tapas. Now, I ask you a simple question with the gist of all what I have briefly given you all, which you are aware of, which you are familiar. Now, my question is, when we're talking about withdrawal from the lower, which is dissipating your energy, what is it that determines the cause of your dissipation? I repeat, we are saying the first element of tapas is dissipation of energy, which is to the lower. But question is, what is it that determines the dissipation of energy? All of us are dissipating energy. Let's be very clear. It will be very unlikely to say, oh no, I'm not dissipating. That means your practice of tapas is 100%. If you're practicing tapas, then there's no dissipation. So if you're not practicing tapas, there will be dissipation. Your valuable energy in terms of thought forces, in terms of your time, in terms of this opportunity is going in vain. Where are your thoughts, Harishji? Where perfect? Huh?
Perfect, Guruji.
Where perfect? Perfect where?
You were asking where are your thoughts?
Where is your thoughts? Right now I'm asking you, where are your thoughts?
Right now, no thought in my mind at all. Thoughtless.
Oh, thoughtless pointing. Very high level Ningalama. So the question is, what is it that determines the dissipation of your energy? Amitama, to begin with. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Okay, so the dissipation comes from not practicing the self-control, not even realizing, or not even, like the question you asked, where are your thoughts? You know, not catching ourselves and asking ourselves, actually, where are my thoughts going? Otherwise, if we are not conscious, then of course the mind, you get drawn by the mind, and then your lack of control in indulging in lower or sense objects. So can I just summarize it as the lack of self-control?
Lack of self-control, all right. If you have to describe it, in a different term, summarizing all what I have said, because where you are dissipating is not necessarily where I am dissipating or where others are dissipating. Each one is dissipating, but what is it that determines the avenue of dissipation? Or let's put that way, what is it that determines the very avenue of dissipation?
Perhaps how resolved you are in this spiritual pursuit. So to what degree is your discipline, your sadhana?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's not mature or deep or strong, then there is a high possibility that you may indulge in the lower, and you do this without being even conscious about it or not aware about it.
Yeah, we are not even aware until we are told or pulled up or pointed out. It's like a child doesn't realize that it is not consolidating the time it has got, the opportunity it's got, because it's distracted with the new toys, the new world, the teen world. It's very enterprising. Doesn't understand these are the years of the foundation that it could bank on, so that the child blossoms into a very a beautiful, successful human, evolves. But if it doesn't realize the quality and the opportunity it's got, it's gone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I get right. You're right. I would say I'm still looking for that that bullseye, that word which really helps you to find out. The question is, what determines the avenue where you're dissipating your energy? So once you get that, then you will be able to explore and help yourself. But your thinking is absolutely right, very right. No, okay. Thanks, Amitama. Yeah, Situji. Can't hear you, sir. Yes. Hariom, sir.
What determines his intellect, weak intellect, is indicative of no self-control.
Yes, it is the intellect that exercises self-control. But my question is, what determines the avenue where you are dissipating your valuable energy? The avenue.
Avenue means we are extroverted.
Which?
We.
Sir, again, repeating that statement, where you are dissipating is not necessarily where I am dissipating.
Yeah.
But what determines that where your energy is being dissipated? Sometimes we say it is trivial. It is, why are you wasting your time on non-essentials? Why are you worrying about certain things? Let go. But you can't let go.
My desire, vasanas.
Okay, your desires, vasanas. All right. Now, this is the line I want you to think. Your desires, your vasanas, where you are dissipating your energy. Okay, I will still find an answer for further.
Low spiritual quotient.
That I wouldn't necessarily say that, but it is obviously, if you are, but this principle is possible at any level. You may not be practicing tapas where you could be dissipating.
What determines means, I say capacity you mean is intellect, lack of intellect. We do have little intellect, but our lack of intellect is what is making us. If intellect would have been there, it will, reign over us.
Absolutely. No, you're right. That's why I paused a minute to capture the question rightly. So I think you have said it very well, that it's the intellect, and Amitam also said it's the lack of self-control. But further I qualified, say the avenue. Which avenue? So you said your desires, vasanas, a couple of them have commented as well. Yes, right, sir. You're perfect. Yes, I will just take further comments. GBKG, if I could request you to be in Hariom, sir, in the context of the question, sir, please.
Yeah, this whatever the energies what we have, if you indulge either sight or taste, or if you indulge, you lose the taste, you lose the sight, you lose your whole thing is your avenue. Whatever is supposed in the people when they get the old age, they find that those which indulge, their energies are gone and they become helpless. The health in aspect of the whichever the sense they indulge. That is just because no control, or maybe not knowing the knowledge about what happens if I have gone either sparsh or the sight or the taste or the smell or the hearing. Seeing the children, they see now the TV, iPads, and they attach. They lost all they get the eyesight. They have like that, in every sense will have. Is what.
Right. Perfect. In fact, you have spelled that word which I was looking for, which is they all are saying, who have already commented, and the comments, in fact, even Vaidyanathan ji has actually spelled it out, the first word he said. Perfect, GBKG. It is your attachments, the avenue where you are actually unknowingly dissipating your energy is your areas of attachment. If you are attached to whatever, what attachment does? It consumes your energy, because the law of attachment is as you think, so you become, isn't it? The law of attachment is defined by your thoughts. So the avenue of your thoughts, the channel of thoughts, is determined by the object of attachment and the degree of attachment. So if you're attached to something, that consumes your valuable energy. It consumes your time, your resources, your energy. To that extent, you're not available for Brahman. You're not available for the higher. So if you want to practice tapas, so if you want to reach Brahman, the abode, which is the truth, which is the reality, you will have to practice tapas, which is withdrawing yourself from the activity where you have an attachment to. So where you are attached, you will be involved into that activity which consumes your energy, it dissipates you. And to get out of that, you need to have the intellect. Therefore, this is an intellectual discipline. You could say it's an intellectual discipline. Attachment is nothing but wherever you have a possessiveness. Wherever you have a possessiveness, you are already a slave. It consumes you. It destroys you. You're consumed by, I don't know, whatever is consuming you. It's for you to find out what consumes you. It saps your energy. And then comes Dhamma. Dhamma is restraint. This is mental withdrawal. First is a physical withdrawal, second is a mental withdrawal. So there's no point practicing Tapaha without practicing Dhamma. Not only must you be withdrawing from the physical activities where your senses are unnecessarily drawn and excited and fed. So you should withdraw the mind from the various avenues where it can develop an attachment to. So it is very difficult to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Thank you very much. I'm not available. And only when you practice, so it is, and this definition of Tapaha and Dhamma in your life constantly changes, because what you consider is important, as you progress spiritually, you understand the futility of it. Man, what am I getting excited with? What am I getting jumping with joy? Why am I investing so much of my time, energy into it? No, I'm not available. I'm not available. That's all I can say. So what means so much to you today would become lower once you become wiser, isn't it? What mattered to you a few years ago doesn't matter to you now. Why? You agree, Ramji?
Hari Om, Guruji.
Good to have you in the Upanishad class, sir.
Yes, sir. I was tempted by whatever I was hearing about the classes. So I said I must indulge myself in Upanishads now.
Most welcome.
Thank
I
you,
hope we don't disappoint you.
No, you never disappoint anytime, Guruji.
Thank you.
So,
yes, sir. So you agree to that concept. So the concept I'm saying is
the mental withdrawal from all the attachments that you have. That is the Dhamma part. But the combination of Tapa and Dhamma is something that changes with experience or with time, with age, because the attachments change from time to time. As something that looked you were attached to some time back, today may not look important to you. So that happens because of your own progression in life, either upwards or downwards. So both ways you will keep leaving things behind and getting either attached to something new or slowly giving up attachments, depending upon which direction you are traveling.
right. And it is not necessarily to do with age, because I have had opportunity, I would say experience of people coming and confessing their mental states, irrespective of their age.
Yeah.
They have still not grown spiritually, because it's the spiritual age that I suppose it's
Correct.
what that matters, what you attach to. It's not the physical age,
Correct.
In fact, in the Bhaj Govind, we have learned, what you lose is kama vikaraha, but not kama vicharaha.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
You understand these two words? Kama
Yes.
vikaraha and kama vicharaha.
Vichara, yes.
Kama
Vikara
vikaraha
is
means
it's like either desires or indulgence in kama is sensual,
yes.
I suppose, and then
Correct.
kama vikara and kama vichara is thoughts. Vichara is
Correct.
thought of.
Correct.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do kama vikara because your body doesn't support. But kama vichara can go on. No? For that, the mind doesn't get tired. There is no age of the mind. So the mind keeps indulging in the sense objects, but kama body may not support.
But the other way is also possible, Guruji, that you are indulging physically, but mentally you are not indulging.
That is spiritual state.
Yeah.
That is where you are detached. Your mind is not participating. You may be physically have to be obliged to do certain things, but mentally you have no value for it. You have no value.
Correct.
I don't want to make it personal, but I wanted to share an experience which I want to test myself. When Vaishnavi was to be born, Vijay came to India, and for those 3 months, I didn't see Vaishnavi. I didn't come for her delivery. I didn't see Vaishnavi for the first 2 months over. I said, I'm not available. And not that I had anything pressing, not that I had anything I could have excused myself, but I told her, I'm not available. You have all the help. You have your family, everybody there. I said, I'm not coming to India. And I was just continuing doing my sadhana, my tapas, doing what I had to do. I was just by myself. I said, I will not come. I did not come. Just to tell myself, am I attached? What is my mind doing? What does my mind do to me? Just wanted to examine my mind. I did not come. Just withdraw. So you want to know to what extent you are attached to your family. Your family is very important, And I wanted to test my mind to the highest attachment. Isn't it, sir? With reference to attachments, your family is the most attached, isn't it? And every parent is suffocatingly attached to their children. Suffocating is suffocating. You suffocate yourself and them. My child, my child, my child, my child. Arey yaar. Possessiveness, I and my. And I wanted to test myself to the biggest attachment. I said, So I set that platform very clear from day one. The foundation is tapas, is complete detachment from day one. If I don't practice it, how can I even have the conviction to talk about it, sir? I don't talk because I don't want it to be misconstrued, misread. I'm trying to do, it's my way of practicing my tapas. So don't do what a teacher does. You got to follow what the teacher says. So this was a test to myself, But whenever I raise the topic, I get into trouble. I get prasadam from the house. So I don't. I'm comfortable raising the topic, knowing well Vijay is not there today in the class.
I was about to ask, are you forgiven for that, or are you reminded of it every day?
I have to bow down to their unflinching support in the journey I've embarked on. It's not possible without that support you have from the family and everybody around you enabling. You all are supporting, you are all enabling my journey. So it's not possible without that. So it's any amount of being thankful and grateful is less. No, I've never ever made to feel guilty because I was very sure and clear and I held my conscience, and when you're true to yourself, you're not false to others. And I was always made comfortable with that decision, So on many other accounts, I got many beatings. I continue to get, but let's not get into that, sir. Yeah. So attachment is possessiveness. You got to do your duty, but just test your state of your mind whether you are attached. And invariably, there is a strong attachment to whatever you're attached to. And to the extent you attach, it consumes your time, energy, resources. You can't invest in Brahman. Principle, I'm talking the principle. There's a foundation, he says. So Tapa, Dhamma. And only when Tapa and Dhamma are set, you can perform karma, action. How can you perform action when you perform Tapa and Dhamma? Okay, before I get to that, in Reddy Garu wants to say something. Yes, sir, please.
Pranam Guruji.
Namaskar, sir.
I have small confusion existing, Guruji, with respect to the Tapaha, Dhamma. We're talking about Tapaha as a physical withdrawal and Dhamma is more about the mental withdrawal. But with the explanation, what I understood, I find both are related to the mental withdrawals, all related to the mind and intellect. So I could not able to get exactly what is mean by a physical withdrawal coming across there. Is it in a?
Sir, I could be physically withdrawing and let my mind running wild.
Mm-hmm.
I could, given the context, I was away in Malaysia. My child was born here. Physically, I'm there, but mind is constantly with the family here. I'm not practicing Dhamma.
Okay.
See, so both have to be withdrawn. You can't take the excuse of mind withdrawn and let the senses also run wild. No, you have to practice the control of the physical senses as well. You got to give it a conducive environment so that the senses don't run wild. Remember the day I was talking the example of the great Vishwamitra, who fell for Menaka. The context was Vishwamitra, the sage Vishwamitra was trying to caution the power of senses. Even at that level, the senses can draw you away. So never ever take your senses for lightly. So therefore, even though you may say my mind is lodged on the higher, you can't give a license to the senses to run wild.
Got it.
Therefore, you have to ensure you withdraw physically.
Okay.
And also withdraw mentally. If the mental withdrawal is not mentioned, you will physically withdraw and practice spirituality externally. Spirituality is not external place or position. It's a state of your mind. You get what I'm saying? But you can't use the state of mind and justify, doesn't matter where my senses are. No, you can't use either thing to justify. So to ensure that you have perfect control, withdraw physically, withdraw mentally.
Got the message.
No? And the moment you withdraw and there's a frustration, that means you have reached your threshold. That is when you go back and contact the world. See, the withdrawal must be self-imposed and the withdrawal must be healthy, not with frustration. If there's any element of frustration, that means you've reached your capacity of withdrawal. Where you are, sir, how long can you be away from the world without contacting the world?
We can't. We can't be away from the world, Guruji.
Why can't you be away from the world?
Unless we practice this Tapaha Dhamma, then only we can able to.
Correct. When you practice this, you're away from the world.
Yes.
And when you practice this, you really don't know what you're missing, Padmini Ma. You really don't know. I know you're commenting to what I know. Only when you practice tapas, you know what you are lost. You know what you're gained.
Yeah, you cannot have the cake and eat it too.
Why not? You make the cake to eat only, no? I don't know this quote about cake business, but please enlighten me.
You have a piece of cake. You want to withdraw from it, not to eat it. You cannot have the cake and at the same time eat it too. You can have only one thing at the same. Either you enjoy the moment or you withdraw and start enjoying something else. So whatever is gone is gone. It's not going to come back. I mean, certain precious moments, not everything. But that when you withdraw from such actions deliberately or with force, or because you are attached to a higher goal, then there is something which the world deserves from you, which you have not given.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that that last phrase, ma? Last sentence?
Last phrase. What did I say? Maybe, yeah. You have a duty. Like there is some expectation from the other side also, which is very natural and which is very deserving. I mean, that is what I was saying. It's a deserving it should have been given. That is what I feel. Why should you restrain from such things? And there are so many other things we can do. What I meant is certain moments never come back in life.
This is the reason I don't. This is the reason I don't slip into those elements, because then I'll be attacked, and the entire group will form, and there'll be union attacking me now. Huh?
No, as a mother, I am saying how a mother will feel. That is what exactly what I meant was that you never thought of the feelings of a mother. I don't know. I'm very sorry if I am very blunt.
No. You're taking a part of the equation and commenting. That's why I said don't ever judge a person. That's what Christ says, judge not others. An action is always neutral. It's where you place it, in which context you place it. You're not understanding the context where that action was placed, how grand that action was. You're not able to rise up to that level to see raise up to the level of detachment of that action. I don't blame you. It may not be understood. I am not mentioning it to be understood. That's why I say a great chance it's misunderstood. And I'm with you. I am with you when you say that. I can empathize with your concern of an emotion of a mother. I am not saying that. I'm not saying no. But there's a different stance. There's another side to it. Which is the whole objective of me mentioning that was only to drive home that, not this. But you're still talking of this, not that. I'm not. I know, and I'm not heartless. It's not that I had no feelings. It's not that I don't feel. It's not like I'm a piece of wood or stone. No, I will continue to do my obligation as a father the rest of my life. I have been doing, I will do. Like any father, I will do my duty. At the same time, I don't want that duty as a father or a husband or a son or as a guru to bind me to this world of duties and responsibilities. Through my dharma, because the dharma I have created is defined by the choices I've made. I've made a certain choice in my life and I'm bound by the dharma, but that dharma will not bind me. I want to practice tapas through that dharma to attain moksha. Performing the dharma right throughout my life, I want to attain moksha. That is the path. So you also can perform, and how you execute it is subjective. So don't copy and act. You got to instill a principle. Whether I was physically here or there, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Was it the time of importance or not? It is immaterial. Is it a precious moment or not? Immaterial. But the question is whether I have the moment you have developed an attachment, that is the fall. It's not the question of duty. In the name of duty, everybody's attached. That's the point I'm making. You're terribly attached. I mean, when I say you, I mean everybody out there. You're terribly attached in the name of your children and grandchildren. You are suffocatingly attached to them. What Brahman? What Brahma Vidya? That is what I'm trying to do justice to this verse. Tapa is the fundamental, it's the edifice of reaching Brahman. You want Brahma Vidya, you got to say, I have got nothing to do with it. You got to be completely detached to the world. So detachment is not packing your bags and taking a suitcase with you into the woods. That is not it. But yet you got to withdraw. Being in the world, you got to withdraw. When do you withdraw? When you want to withdraw, not when it doesn't matter, when it matters most. Isn't it? Ma, when do you do charity? You do charity when you need it, and you do charity. That sacrifice is far greater than when you don't need, isn't it? I have got 10,000 rupees lying with me. I'm not been using. I part with 2,000 rupees. You may do charity, but you only have 1,000 rupees for your family, and somebody needs it more. You say, I think I'll part with it because they need it more than you. That is a far, far greater sacrifice than doing something when you don't even know that you're given. You don't even know. Oh, you have given that money to them. That's okay. I'm good. You gave it. It was just lying there. You don't even know that you have given. What giving is that? When you feel the pinch, that's where growth is. Remember, the growth is in the pinch. So when you practice something, it should help you grow. And it was taken to a very, it's not easy to do that. I'm saying it is not easy to do that. I never felt a pinch doing it. It is just to test your mind, it's just to do it. And those are the moments you got to do it.
But a mother cannot do that. No, when the baby cries, the mother has to rush to the baby. She cannot be dispassionate or think of something else.
It is not abandoning your
what
duties.
are things you can ignore and divert your mind to the higher?
Siddhartha walked away from his wife, from his palace.
Yeah.
He walked out. If he did not walk out, there was no Buddha. You got to understand. There are people at certain level, they think differently. They operate differently. Their level of detachment is different. You understand? You got to take a step back and let it sink in. Don't measure the principle by the act. Understand the principle, not the act. You're only scrutinizing the act, not the principle. As your duty calls, you must be prompt on your duty. Yeah, you have to be there. It's not abandoning duties. When you say Siddhartha walked out into the woods, he upheld the most prominent duty is to realize the self. What about that duty? Who is to honor that duty, that dharma, the dharma for which you are born? Who is to fulfill that? Who is to realize that? Not at the cost of abandoning. It's not called abandoning. It's difficult. I lack words beyond this to convey. But the point is, find out whether you're attached to what you're doing. That's the objective. You've got to find out. And if you're attached, you've got to find ways and means that you pull yourself out physically and mentally. Don't give me philosophical practices of being physically there and mentally not there. All that is only a man of realization does that. A man who's established in wisdom does that. But you got to practice physical withdrawal and mental withdrawal to get established in the higher. It can't happen physically being there and mentally out of it. No, it's not possible. So this is the practice. The practice is physically you're away from the world and mentally also away from the world. Tapa, Dhamma. And then comes karma. Karma is then you can work towards the higher. Your actions are driven towards the higher goal of realization. I know I was getting in trouble.
I also agree with her.
With whom?
With Amita.
Yo. I am, there's some internet problem. I am quitting Gayatri Map. So please, Ram Garu, I am quitting, sir.
Being a woman.
The great gurus, all are men. The women need to stay attached to providing dharma of maternal duties. Perhaps this is what creates the balance. So men could aspire the higher and have the world spiritual. Not at all. Not at all. Please don't ever treat that way. Not at all. Not at all. No. The Shastras glorify a woman. The scriptures themselves is Goddess Saraswati. It's not men. The daughter of the Himavan is Uma. Did we not listen in the story? So how can, it is not gender at all, please. It's not gender related. It's not what your natural personality demands. Not at all. It is the mindset. You know, many. In fact, you see, the comments are flowing of great women. It's nothing to do with men or women. No. Yes, I think a few people want to say something. Let's give a chance to Shantima. Yes, Shantima.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
Yeah, just want to make a statement. I think a lot of people doesn't understand what is the different attachment and love actually. In the name of attachment, they're thinking it's a love. Actually, I was away from my family. I mean, my parents, my mom, for 20 years. No, now I'm back with my parents. I know how suffocated sometimes, in the name of, love. But actually, it's not love, actually. Certain things is like, too many things imposed. Like, for example, even eating, eat. So like, so I understand, as a mother, she thinks she's loved, but actually on the other hand, she's suffocating others. So I understand where you are coming from. When you are certain, I mean, Guruji at a certain level of a spiritual level, I don't think so anyone can understand that level. I mean, each one of us is different in their spiritual level. For some people, it's not, we are missing nice moment, whatever, but to the people who, at certain level, it doesn't, so I don't know how to explain. Like sometimes, like certain things, like my mom imposed to me, I just like, I understand. Understand her. Sometimes it's like, I smile at her. She doesn't understand. Yeah, even simple thing like eating. If I miss one meal, she will like, she'll be like,
I can understand where you're coming from. I can understand. See, there is a great danger in talking.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm away for 20 years that I don't have like, my duty towards my family. Even though I was 20 years away, I still was performing my duty towards my family. Yeah.
Right. Appreciate. I understand what you're saying. Thank you. Setuji.
Guruji, I have one observation, one question. One is what you said, a soldier who is in a war field, he may not come for a year or till the war ends, and he may not come, and the family will understand. Same way you are on a mission. It is of self-realization. So other party also will, I think, definitely understand. My question is, how to do mental withdrawal other than getting attached to higher? Is there any other method of mental withdrawal? Mental withdrawal is much, much tougher than, according to me, for me, than physical withdrawal. But mentally, I want to withdraw. Only method is to get attached to something higher. Otherwise, practicing mental withdrawal is, I find it very tough.
In fact, you stole the example. I had almost on the tip of my tongue to mention an example of a soldier who is at war, who is defending or serving the country. And they could be away for months or even a year or plus, and the family has to go on, and nothing halts and moves on. And it has to have, you can't become emotional about situations and absence. So you understand the sacrifices, So I'm glad you mentioned that. And the question is, how do you practice mental withdrawal? Two things. One is the capacity of mental withdrawal depends on the strength of your intellect. The capacity to hold the mind away from mind rushing to its areas of attachment. So the strength of the intellect will hold back the mind, and it's a healthy control. It's not strangling the mind, but keeping the mind in its chosen environment. Like when you are in an environment conducive for a certain activity, you withdraw the mind and say, I don't want to think of anything else. So when the mind runs into those areas other than the activity, you are violating Dhamma. So by allowing the mind not to run and keeping in the present is the job of the intellect to practice Dhamma. The second thing is, as you said, the more the mind is attached to the higher, to that extent, relatively, it is not available for the lower.
In other words, we have to spiritually evolve, because again, it is linking to spiritual evolvement, converting knowledge to wisdom. Only we can spiritually evolve, and then only our intellect will improve and we will get attached to the higher. See, mental withdrawal, just like that, it doesn't happen. So parallelly, we have to we have to remove our ignorance. We have to convert into wisdom, and we have to evolve. Then only because intellect, earlier what you have told is intellect we can strengthen only by removing ignorance.
Yeah, sir, what perhaps will be far more
mission. Parallelly, many things have to take place.
Right. No, but maybe being far more specific to the question, how to practice mental withdrawal is, first is the physical withdrawal. That's essential. Having physically withdrawn, you must supplement it with higher knowledge. So when you're physically withdrawing from the world, the senses don't have an environment where it can draw the mind away. So physically withdraw, create a conducive environment, and give an higher knowledge where the mind can be occupied with. when withdrawal alone without knowledge leads to frustration. Please write down this. Harish, if you can capture this. Withdrawal without knowledge leads to frustration. Knowledge without withdrawal is no consolidation. In the UK, correct? Mere knowledge without withdrawal, you just have, you're withdrawing, but no knowledge leads to frustration. Mere physical withdrawal without knowledge, frustration. What's the opposite of it, Ushama?
Namaste, Guruji. Knowledge without this thing is, you used a beautiful coinage, Guruji. That was, I'm not able to get that word, but it was very beautiful coinage.
Yeah. Yes. Setuji,
Is consolidation, you said. Is consolidation, you said.
Yeah. Who got it? Who got the phrase I used? Rajima, yes?
Guruji, you said withdrawal without knowledge leads to frustration. Knowledge without withdrawal leads to consolidation.
No consolidation.
No consolidation.
Hariji, you have to recapture that. Now, so you, therefore, what I'm trying to say is, you need
no consolidation leads to no consolidation.
Or lack of consolidation, or no consolidation. You don't consolidate. So which means when knowledge is consolidated, it becomes wisdom. That's what I mean. When knowledge is consolidated, it becomes wisdom. So in order to consolidate the knowledge, you need to withdraw. If I am available for every activity of the world keeps sending me various invitations. And if I'm participating, carried away, indulging in the name of duties, how can I consolidate my understanding? In order to consolidate the understanding, I need to withdraw. So withdrawal, if you just merely withdraw and don't give enough jnanam, enough knowledge, then there's frustration because you can't control the mind. Other opposite is, you have all the knowledge, but you're not withdrawing from the worldly activities. You don't gain wisdom. You are very knowledgeable, but there is no spiritual growth. Now you need to balance these two. You need to balance knowledge and withdrawal. Setuji, this is what you got. And when you do this, you will have the maturity to handle the mind. That's when your mind will in its place. So in time, when you withdraw, you're able to gain more knowledge. When you gain more knowledge, you consolidate, you're able to withdraw further. So these two are pedals to growth: withdrawal and knowledge and reflection. When you do knowledge and reflection, you gain strength to withdraw further from more activities, more withdrawal, more opportunity to study and reflect and meditate. The more you gain strength, the more you withdraw. So these two become pedals to your growth. And that's how you have a perfect control over the mind. So I repeat again, physical withdrawal supplemented with knowledge and your abhyasa of study and reflection. It's not mere information, it's reflection. These two are essential practices. And then in a matter of time, you will be able to discipline the mind. Okay, Ji.
Guruji, one query. You have in the past you have told and advocated that everyone has to be always in action, because we have to without action it is a death sort of We have to be, but when we are doing our obligatory action or other actions, we are involved for higher costs, seva and all that. How can then we will be exposed to, we are more in the worldly thing. Then this practicing, we are actually opening up, and we are forced to play in an arena where we do get distracted. So how to practice this? By being always in action. I am talking at our level, at where spiritual evolution is just happening.
Mm-hmm.
If I am all the time in action and also do physical withdrawal and mental withdrawal by knowledge reflection, that will be countering me all the time, because I am in action. I have to visit places. I have to I have to address issues where many things do crop up, and where I just cannot all the time talk this and withdraw. So I have to face issues, and I have to get angry. I have to demand things and make things happen. I am talking about a practical problem at a lower level.
Yeah, see, action does not mean a perfect action. An ideal action does not mean you are getting involved. One can perform an action with a perfect level of detachment, isn't it?
For that,
so that
have been evolved.
Correct. So where do you get the detachment from? From the withdrawal and reflection. So the least withdrawal you all can do is 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Every day you withdraw from the world. You are not available for the world at that hour. You are doing reflection in the Brahma Muhurtam. And if you do that as diligently as you keep breathing and eating every day, if you do it religiously every day, that will give you enough conviction and strength and objectivity to deal with what life's challenges are. The question is, are you all doing that Brahma Muhurtam every day? Like it or not, that cannot falter. It's like your blood pressure and blood sugar, little fluctuation, you lose your normalcy of life. Are you all doing that? If you do that every day, like it or not, if you don't do that, I think you should not come to this class. Stop coming to this class if you don't do it, because it's only adding burden to you. The real consolidation is withdrawal and reflection. That's the least I expect you all to do. And if you are mature enough, you will not be worried of your bread and butter also. You will only sit in consolidating. Like some of us have taken a full time. I am not bothered of my bread and butter. I am not taking up a job, nor have I got any investments, nor have I got some big bank balance to provide for me. God willing, something is provided for my sustenance. I am not worried of that. The providence is providing for your sustenance. So to that extent, I'm not worried. I was prepared to do even some kind of the worst come worst. If I have to support myself and my family, I was willing to do a job. I'm saying, when I had to deliberate, will I sustain in this field? 25 years ago, when I came out of the ashram and wanted, I don't know whether I'll sustain, whether I have the strength to let providence provide for your sadhana. And if I can't, and if I was not provided for, if I had to do that, I would do that. So you must gain so much strength and conviction in the path that everything else will happen for you. Everything else will happen, shall happen. So to kickstart the process, the withdrawal and reflection, that 2 hours, 1.5 hours If you get up 4 o'clock and you do that 1.5 hours of reflection study, that I would say rest of the day you do what you want, but ensure you do that. Then you come back to me. I don't mean you. You all come back to me if there's any concern.
I do at least 5 days a week, 4:30 to 6.
Right, sir.
No, I just one query is, say tomorrow morning, how should I reflect? See, reflection I understand, I do, but now should I take up today's class and what is being taught, I review it and then reflect on how I am leading my life. Then day after tomorrow, if there is no class, how should I go about? Or yesterday's, I request, appeal to you to give little more dope on proper method of reflection.
See, reflection is not on experiences. Reflection is on trying to understand the knowledge, the material, that knowledge which we are learning is trying to be clear with what the concepts are, what's the rationale behind it, question it, to understand it, and then try to see a relevance into your life, how you can relate it to your own experiences. So there has to be, for example, if you're taking the Bhagavad Gita, it's a long text, you're in a journey. We're taking an Upanishad, it's a text. Doesn't matter what was taught. But let's say if you're following the Gita, you have gone from the 2nd chapter. So if you want to start your study and reflection, go back to the 2nd chapter, start from there. We may be doing the 7th chapter, but you can start from reflecting. So the fresh ideas that keep coming can help you to give a new perspective to your questioning and studying, because the concepts are not exclusive, they are all over. You may study the Gita, you may study Bhajagovindam, you may study Sant Kabir, or you may attend a management program. These concepts are all same, coming in different ways. So it gives you a fresh perspective to start decoding these unique textbooks which they're talking. So if you have the Gita, start with the Gita 2nd chapter, verse by verse, start reading it. You may get a new flavor by attending Upanishad class. That's independent, an additional concept, an additional information, a new flavor, but still you carry on the text methodically which you're studying. So that should not, you don't keep changing the subject matter continues. So you have done every day, you do 1-2 verses. Again, it's not quantitative. I wanted to finish the text today, but I'm trying to do justice to the verse. So it's not time bound, it's not text bound. It is the concept, how much justice you have given to these concepts. So steady. So there is a methodic, there's a text, you come back every day and draw the concepts, understand it. If there's a doubt, come back to the classroom to clarify, and then try to see how you can relate it into your life. And when you do this the first thing in the morning, religiously, with a specific thought in a text, it keeps coming again and again. It comes to the forefront. That's the purity of the thought. It keeps coming back in the course of your day's experiences. And believe me, even in if you have that conviction, if you have that aptitude, even in your course of the day, you'll open the book and start reading. In between your lunch hour, you have 20 minutes left in lunchtime, you'll open the book and read, oh, what was that word which I read? And something struck me in the course of the activity, you will try to refresh and take a note, because that's when your thoughts are consumed with this knowledge. That is the purity of practicing Tapa and Dhamma to begin with the first thing in the morning. As I said, you can continue to live your life the rest of the day. Start by doing that early hour, and you'll see how slowly but surely the thoughts you instill in the early morning will start changing the course of your quality of your actions. Give yourself 3-4 weeks. You'll start seeing distinct change. But to get up at 4 o'clock, you got to bring about a paradigm shift in your lifestyle. You can't be available at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You can't be engaging in activities that late into the hour and hope to capitalize Brahma Muhurtam. No, it's 9 o'clock, switch off your phone. I am not available for the world. Tell yourself, What come may, the world is not available for me because I want to be available for Brahma Muhurtam. The world doesn't know the importance of that hour. You know the importance, so you switch off. I am not available. What come may, and that commitment you got to give yourself. And this is the edifice of Brahma Vidya. So to practice tapas and dhamma, at least for those 2 hours, you need to make a lot of adjustment and sacrifice. And that's when you will be able to give this a precedence over the other. Then you understand how much of my time, IPL knockoff stages going on. You may watch IPL. I also may watch, but come that hour, switches off. If I have to know what happened, I'll see tomorrow morning what happened to the match. Invariably, I'm not even have the mind to see who won the match. Somebody will come and tell me, oh, this fellow, oh, is it? That's it. That's all. When you're there, you're there. It doesn't hang up. The mind should not be clogged up with the activities of the world, sir. You may enjoy, participate, but when it comes to that, you got to be very, very harsh at yourself. You got to be cruel to yourself if you want to attain the higher. Cruel to yourself. Don't have a soft corner for yourself. I wouldn't. You got to learn to punish yourself. That is tapas. Sacrifice, 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 tapas. I was about to say RPG and RPG raised his hand. Okay, Setuji? Right, sir. Are you? Yes, RPG?
So I was just thinking, Hariom Guruji.
Hariom, sir.
Should I be asleep right now? It's 10:30.
Very soon we'll relieve you. Very soon we are going to relieve you.
Because at 4:30 the alarm goes off and the lights come on, and it's tough. Most mornings it's still tough after all these years. It's tough, but it's well worth it for sure. It makes all the difference. All the difference.
Yeah.
So did we ever answer the question, how do you perform action when performing Tapa and Dhamma? If we did, I missed it somewhere.
How
you had asked the question?
Did I?
You had asked the question. Yeah. How do you perform action when performing or while performing Tapa, and or maybe you did it in reverse. How do you perform Tapa and Dhamma while performing action?
No, what I just went with the 3 points where he says this is the foundation. So when you practice Tapaha and Dhamma, what happens is you have conserved your energy, which can be directed towards the higher, which is action. Your actions are driven towards the higher ideal. So only actions which takes you towards the goal are performed.
So that is the action. Yeah.
That is action. You perform obligatory duties, your dharma, then actions which ought to be done, which takes you to the goal. Otherwise, then you perform actions which may not be the right action. So what is right and wrong is based on when your action takes you to the goal, it's a right action. It's like you must have your blinkers on, as they say, isn't it? When a horse is running on the race course, it's meant to be kept on course. You have a blinkers on. So how do you know whether your action is taking you to the goal? Now, when you don't practice tapas and dhammas, your actions are dissipative. But when you practice tapas and dhammas, your actions are non-dissipative, means only actions which takes you to the goal are performed. That's having blinkers on. So there's no worry and anxiety. That element is absent in your action. So what actions? Action speaks for itself. There's potency in your action. You get it? So taking the example of, when we say water, when it is channelized, it produces hydroelectric power. It has energy in it, isn't it?
Yes.
When light pointed through laser can cut through steel, what's happening? It's all being channelized, isn't it? Similarly, when actions get channelized, how do you channelize the actions? avoiding dissipation through tapas and dhamma, and giving it a clear ideal. What am I seeking in life? What is my objective? What is my goal? If there is clarity in that and implementation of tapas and dhamma, there's conservation of energy and redirected it to the higher, your actions become potent. I'm giving you the principle. Does that clarify, Ji?
Yes, Guruji.
Correct. Okay. I think there were a few questions which has rolled by. I think I didn't have chance to comment on it. I think Kinkima has commented, why get into relationship when one has to detach? Is it fair to the other person relationship? I believe I have answered that question. The question has no legitimacy because you're not understood the concept. The question has no basis. Please rethink your question now. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying you've got to revisit the question, what you're asking. It's not the question whether you are in a relationship or not. The question is whether you are detached in a relationship is the question. One gets into a relationship because of a choice. And you make a choice because of your constitution or your personality. What is your personality? If your personality necessitates a relationship, you get into a relationship, into a marriage, an auspicious relationship. But the family should not limit your thoughts, should not stunt your spiritual growth. It's how you deal with the family, how you relate to the family. So it's not the institution of the family that is to be questioned here. It's how you conduct yourself in that auspicious institution of a family. So you've got to get that right. Yes, Tinkima?
Yeah, Hari Om Guruji.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, this question came to my mind with reference to the discussion on, the role of a mother and, how the attachment happens, when they rear the children in the family. And also the statement that I have nothing to do with it. So, when you keep saying I have nothing to do with it, then how does one give their best? That is my whole dilemma. I don't think I'm that spiritually involved. So I would take action, and because I had made a comment even before asking this question.
Yes, I saw that.
I have nothing to do, I will. But the point is, we've always said, you have always explained according to the scriptures that we need to do our obligatory. Even Arjun was told, you have to fight. You can't say I have nothing to do with it, because it's not what is the action. It is in a given situation, what is the most appropriate action? That is what I have understood. So at a time when one has a child and they need our attention, then we do have to take care, no? Even when our children grow up, I'm only sharing this for one reason, because it applies that children are grown up, grandchildren, and you guys are still involved. For example, my son got COVID 11 days ago. Could I just say I have nothing to do with it? You manage on your own. Let your child look after you. I cannot. I had to take care of him.
When I said I have got nothing to do with is an attitude you tell to yourself. It's nothing to do with reflecting action. It should not reflect in abandoning your duties. Please understand that. I have nothing to do doesn't mean you abandon your duties. It is not meant to abandon. It's just to tell you that you should not get carried away you should not lose your objectivity. It's like you are on a slippery ground. Be careful. You got to walk through that slippery ground, but you got to be careful. So in that sense, when you say, I tell myself, I don't want to be carried away with all that's happening in my life. I want to be very clear. Why have I got into this? Is my objective very clear? I don't want to be bound into this relationship. I don't want to be bound by the work I'm doing. So I say, I've got nothing to do with this foundation. I've got nothing to do with what I'm doing. Why? Why have I set up this foundation? So that it helps me spiritually evolve and serve its purpose. But if I'm getting attached to the foundation, it's like creating a pit and I'm jumping into it. In the name of spirituality, I'm developing an attachment to the work. It's not right. Because in the Upanishad, Isavasya Upanishad says, it is easier to be attached. If you're attached to the world, you are in darkness. If you're attached to the spiritual world, you're in greater darkness. Okay. I don't want to be in greater darkness. Therefore, I'm telling myself, I've got nothing to do with this. I'm teaching this knowledge. I don't want to be attached to all this work. I don't want to be attached to all the love you all give me. I don't want to attach to all this name and fame. I don't want to attach to all this I'm doing. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to get to the goal of realization. So I will use it wisely, not to be attached and bound to it. So I keep telling myself, I've got nothing to do with it. But yet I will do what needs to be done. So it is trying to, it's like a, it's like a safety line. You've got hooked onto it. That's your savior. That line is only to instill an attitude of detachment so that there's a greater purpose through which you got to attain. But do your dharma.
So this brings up two questions. When you say I have nothing to do with it, means I am not attached to it. Is that?
That's all it means.
Okay.
I don't want to be attached to it.
Okay. And second thing would be I am not. I have nothing to do with it. Does that also mean that whatever results comes, I will take as prasad and leave it? Does that also mean?
Absolutely. Yes. You're objective to what your duties are. You are gracefully accepting whatever happens in life as prasad. That's all it means. I'm so glad you said these two words. You're objective to life. You are gracefully accepting whatever life gives me.
So that meaning of I have nothing to do with it was troubling me a lot, and is it making one indifferent?
I have got nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Even if it's troubling you, I've got nothing to do with it. No. I'm glad. I'm glad. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad. So the phrase I've got nothing to do with only trying to make you a witness or objective and accept the fruits of your action gracefully. That's all it means. It might come out bluntly because the Shastras say detachment is like an axe. Asangha shastrena dhradena chitva, the Upanishad say. They use the synonym for detachment is an axe of detachment. There is no buttering knife, axe only, he says. You want to get rid of your attachments, you got to use an axe. Because so strong are your attachments to the world, it has to be chopped with an axe. Don't be buttery to your attachments. Don't take a butter knife, take a sharp axe and chop it. I have to speak the truth. This is what the Shastras are saying. You may like it or not, but you got to do it. You got to learn to treat yourself no more, no less than a stranger. Just be neutral. It's not an easy subject matter, I must say. We have way overpassed our time. I know a few would have wanted, yes, a few wanted to comment, but please, we'll revisit this certainly as the concept requires it, and we will try to wrap it up sometime soon. Okay, thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.